What up? It's Ibn Webb, Karan Some here. Official thanks thing we doing here. Essex County edition that I got going on here. Uh, some of the thrills of doing this as far as just having an opportunity to talk to any and everybody with some of the stuff that do hit a little more closer to home is those I had an opportunity to compete against. Just have an opportunity, play, whether it's a win or a loss, what have you here, but just been able to reconnect with some of the guys and females, you know, on this journey I've been doing with regards to this official thanks thing here. Rob Trafford, man, he could just throw it around. We talk about that football there. Had an opportunity to compete against him, a couple of times throughout my high school career here. And it was just a joy just to watch him, from the sideline or trying to stop him, what have you, and even just keeping an eye on him, just seeing, what he was doing a week to week or what have you here. Got an opportunity to talk to him beforehand. It was just great to just catch up with him and connect with him. So I'm looking forward to talking to him a little bit more here. So I'm gonna just get Rob on and we're just gonna get to it. Hold tight.
All right, great to see you.
Likewise. The part of me laughing, like I said, I get a kick out of folks still trying to get on to all of this stuff here. So
yeah, I know. I'm solid with Microsoft Teams, but Zoom not as proficient.
Good. Nah, it's cool, man. How you been?
Good. Everything's going great. Just I'm sure like you, busy, running around with keeping the kid, getting kids from point A to point B and, figuring everything out.
Okay. Well, what you doing with yourself these days?
Yeah, so I work for a company called Amex Goods IQ. It's a consumer products company. We sell consumer products to accounts like Walmart, Amazon.com, Office Depot, Staples. So I help manage those large accounts for my company. Yeah.
Okay.
And then married, high school sweetheart, and I have four boys.
Woo! I know she loves when she gets out of the house.
Yeah, that's tonight actually. She's got a mom's lacrosse night out, or an event at one of the kids' schools. So
no, good stuff. Look at us, man. We gray and everything else here. No. Oh my God, man. Life has been good though.
Yeah,
definitely life has been good.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we talked beforehand, like I said, this is something I wound up doing a little over a year ago, and it's been a blast to catch up with people such as yourself and everybody else that's just been willing to share a little bit of their time with me here. Like I said, it's really been a joy for me.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. It's I was excited when you had when Steve Cavello had reached out to me and had given me your name. Right away I knew the name and brought back great memories. So yeah, sounds like a really neat project you have going on.
Cool. We're gonna take a little walk if that's all right, man.
Yeah.
Are you from Verona, born, raised, or you ended up in Verona somehow?
Yeah, so I moved to Verona my 5th grade school year. It was October or November. We had lived in Jefferson Township, which was right on Lake Apacon. My father wanted to be closer to his work, so we moved to Verona in 5th grade, and then grew up in Verona, all through high school, and now I live in West Caldwell, which is basically the next town over, from Verona. So yeah.
Are you the only sibling?
Yeah, so I have a younger brother, Rodney. His name's Rodney, who's a great athlete, and I have an older sister as well. So
so you got sandwiched in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm the one that they say keeps everything together.
Of course. Yeah. How was it for you as far as, again, I know being in Jefferson and ended up in Verona here, childhood, great childhood as far as just activities, being busy, just being
kid? I was very fortunate. When I grew up in Jefferson Township, it was like I had mentioned up until 5th grade, completely different than Verona. Jefferson, we were fishing every day on the lake, riding our bikes in the trails. It was like the country compared to, Verona, which was much more suburban than what I was used to. But the transition to Verona I had a fantastic childhood in Jefferson, and then also, in Verona, which are my more recent memories. Just great families in town, close-knit families, very welcoming. And then, I was fortunate enough to be involved in the sports, and, I was always lucky to have really great coaches. You always hear people complaining about your kids' coaches or this, but it's funny, like I look back and I was just always really lucky to be either mentored or coached by, someone who was a very positive influence on me. So I really have no negative experiences from an adult or, a coaching aspect of growing up in Jefferson or Verona.
And it's interesting, you mentioned fifth grade. I know sometimes that transition, just when you're starting to reach the height of that elementary going to middle school,
Yeah.
you transfer,
Yes.
well, yeah. So again, just that whole adjustment you just mentioned as far as being a Jefferson versus Verona. And I know Verona, though, small town, sports town. It's a sports town.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It really is. Yeah.
And did even, as far as, what did you start playing, getting involved with, or have an interest in early on?
Yeah, so I always loved football. I don't know. I was born to loving football. It was part of my family, more so on my mother's side of the family. So I grew up playing football, basketball, baseball, the three traditional sports. But football, it's interesting. When I played football in Jefferson, I didn't know what I was doing. I forced my dad and mom to sign me up. I was the one who initiated to be signed up for football. And I used to get my butt kicked every day in practice. They put me on the line.
Yeah.
I was the guy that played against the first team offense. They put me on the defensive line, and on offense, they put me on the offensive side of the line. I always seemed to be the younger kid in the grade as well. And I used to get destroyed like every practice. And I just always wanted to go back. I always wanted to, play. I just always wanted to be a part of football. And then when I went to Verona, I didn't play my sixth grade year because I came after football season in my fifth grade year. They were looking for a quarterback. So I said, oh, let me try. I always wanted to be a quarterback or a running back or, something that you handled the ball. And, I was fortunate enough to get that opportunity. And then that's when, I started to become a quarterback as opposed to, a lineman. So I then played quarterback and DB. So I became a skill position guy in Verona in sixth grade. So, but definitely those times getting, the crap beat out of me, for the 3 or 4 years before, it definitely helped. So, yeah.
Interesting. And even with, you wound up playing baseball, basketball as far as when you were younger too. So you just did, how it went the seasons. You just kind of went with the seasons. Yeah,
just went with the seasons. And you played, your record travel basketball in the winter. You played the spring baseball league, little league in town. And then, you went to travel, the travel baseball team. And I did that all through high school. I didn't play basketball. Ironically, I played basketball my freshman year. And then I decided to play my senior year, which, was working out great until our best player, got hurt. And then our, season kind of went downhill from there. And then I played baseball in American Legion, high school baseball and then American Legion, for the summer as well. So.
Now, even back then, was it no ifs, ands, or buts as far as you going to Verona High? It wasn't like, again, I know every household's different now, and even back then wasn't no, you go on the DePaul, or I'm just throwing out parochial schools.
Yeah. I always knew I wanted to go to Verona High School. My brother, actually, who's 6 years younger than myself, he ended up going to Del Barton and playing at Del Barton. So he had a good career there. But Verona was as you had mentioned, a sports town, and football in particular is very special in Verona. Yes. It still is, it's a Group 1 school, a small school, but they treat it the parents have always treated special. The coaches, treat it special. It's a great place to grow up and play football in. So I grew up, one of my best friends, my sixth grade year in Verona. I was new to the town. His older brother was a senior in high school at Verona, and they had a very good team that year. In fact, one of my best friends, Mike Marinello, his brother is Nick Marinello, who's the head coach at Hudson Catholic, the head basketball coach at Hudson Catholic, very successful high school basketball coach. But my friend Mike, he would bring me to the Verona high school games when I was in, sixth grade. It opened up a whole new world, to me, of high school football, of watching these big kids, Verona High School playing, and like high school football at that time in my life, that was bigger than the pros, bigger than college football. I couldn't wait. I would sleep over his house on Friday night, and we would go to the Verona games, home or away, on Saturdays. And that really, got me hooked even more into football, and just understanding, how special, Verona treated football, tailgates before the game, tailgates after the game. And just a great tradition at Verona.
Nah, most definitely. Then once you got there, was it just the whole freshman thing, or you played varsity as far as any of the sports? Or did you have to earn your stripes?
I definitely had to earn my stripes. So freshman year, we played a regular freshman schedule, and it was the year before Verona moved to the Colonial Hills Conference.
They made that move, yes.
Yes, I think it was called the Northern Hills Conference, which we were in. So we were playing bigger schools like Madison. I'm drawing a blank on the schools. Morris Catholic was a big school at the time. Madison, Summit. We were playing some, bigger schools at the time. We belonged, I think, in the Colonial Hills Conference, for a reason. So we moved there the next year. And then as a sophomore, didn't get much time sophomore year. And then my junior year, I played defensive back. And then my senior year, I ended up playing just quarterback. The coach only would let the receivers and the quarterback play offense only, no defense.
Now, was that frustrating though, as far as once you started playing quarterback as a kid, but getting to high school and having to wait your turn? I mean, granted, we know playing sports is tons of life lessons, that stick with us to this day. But I mean, was it frustrating, like when I'm gonna get my shot here, as far as you mentioned, tailgate and everything? It was just a football thing to do in Verona here, but and just wanted to just take the helm. Did that ever get frustrating, you recall?
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating. My sophomore year, quite honestly, like if I, look in the mirror, I didn't deserve to be out, on the field at that time, whether I wasn't aggressive enough or not skilled enough, or you see kids now, freshman kids starting, varsity, and there's no issues, and I look back and I remember even being a freshman and seeing a senior. For me personally, that was like a big difference, so, and then junior year, I started every game at DB, had a lot of great teammates, would have loved to play quarterback, but, we had a great coach who, if I was meant to play quarterback, he would have put me at quarterback. And so I just had to wait my turn. My head coach sophomore and junior year was Coach Rich Sanfilippo. He had moved on to Nutley High School, and I was very fortunate to have him as a head coach for 2 years. Great coach, great person. And then I was fortunate enough to have another great coach come in. You're always nervous who's going to be the coach to come in, what offense is he going to run, because now it's my chance to be the quarterback. So I wanted to, I obviously wanted to have a coach that, that would, run an offense that, you could throw the ball. So the coach that had come in, his name was Kevin Cardy, or Coach Cardy. Dick Anderson had been the head coach at Rutgers. He was fired and they let go of the whole staff. He was on that staff. So we ended up getting a college coach, and an absolutely unbelievable person as well. I'm still in touch with Coach Cardy. His son is the head coach at Hunterdon Central, and they just won a state championship. And then his another son, Ryan Cardy, he just got the head coaching job at Delaware. He's been moving around, and and I've known those kids since I'd get to the gym at like 7 a.m. because I was so nervous. I couldn't, like, I had to get out of the house. I
Mhm.
would go to the gym at 7 o'clock. Coach Cardi would be there with his, 3 little boys, and we would play for hours until, people would file in, and we get ready, ready for get ready for pregame and all that other good stuff. So I became very close with Coach Cardi and his sons, and stayed in touch. But he was ahead of his time. All he wanted to do was throw the ball. He was ahead of, like, the run and shoot, the spread offense.
Mhm.
And he was just an amazing coach, and, like I said, an amazing person as well.
Nah, definitely. And you mentioned the guys before you, your freshman, or sophomore year, those guys here. You mentioned Coach Sanfilippo. I know when I spoke to him, my freshman year, because I'm a year under you. So my freshman year, I think,
Right.
is when you guys came to Colonial Hills,
Right.
and I threw out these names because I remember, like, vividly, and I'm so glad they graduated by the time I
Yeah.
played varsity. It was D'Angelo and
Yes.
DiGiacomo.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I remember them quite
Yeah.
vividly. They put a hurting on our varsity team that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Great.
Mike Fader was on that team
Oh
too.
yeah, he was awesome. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, great football players. Mark D'Angelo, great football player, great person. Frank
Mhm.
DiGiacomo, great football player, great person. Same with Mike Fader as well. And Frank DiGiacomo, he used to hit so hard he would dislocate his own shoulder. That's how
Mm.
hard he would, he would hit.
I
And
believe it.
yeah,
I definitely
yeah,
believe
yeah.
it.
And
No,
then Mark was a fantastic, running back, and Fader he was a basketball player
basketball guy with the
that,
Princeton, right? I think, right?
yes, ended up going to Princeton, but he came to Verona to play basketball. And his coach Gaffney, I don't think he wanted him to play football. He
Mm-hmm.
ends up playing football and becomes a great, great football player as well. So he was just a great, super smart kid and a great athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy, I might be forgetting his name. Is it the one you wanted to take it over for? Was it Lombardi or?
Chris Lombardi, yes, he
Okay.
was
Okay.
really good. He was a great baseball player, good football player. Tough kid, like fearless kid, and he was very good. Ever since we were, I was always behind him, even in the Verona Eagles.
Okay. Yeah.
In our town in Verona, you would be, third, fourth grade as a team, third, fourth, then
Mm-hmm.
fifth, sixth, and then seventh, eighth. So you'd have to, wait your turn typically until you were the older kid on the team.
Now, so you get the keys, and you mentioned, and as I was thinking about it, just obviously since talking with you, I was just like, you know what, these offenses now, like, they get you just start tossing that rock
Yep.
around, man, and just went crazy.
Yeah.
How fun was it for you that senior year?
It was so much fun because when Coach Sanfilippo, he ran an I offense, like I right, I
Smash
left.
Mouth, late 80s, 90s
Yes.
offense. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if you got to throw the ball, once every 2 downs or once every three downs, that was great, or you throw the ball if you were behind, or, you had to gain some yards. Coach Cardi comes in, and I'm able to audible every single play.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to throw the ball more than he wants to run the ball. He would change every week. We would have a different set, a different offense, a different package, if you will. And we signaled, from the sidelines as opposed to running a player in and out. So, I would get the plays from hand signals, and he just wanted to go, move, and throw the ball, and we did. And it's interesting. I ended up breaking our school passing record, in like 1 year. Since then, it's been, I think, shattered by a couple, several other quarterbacks. But we went from just a running offense to, like, how many times can we throw it, in a game. And Rob, if you have these 3 options every play. I could, if I wanted to, I could go to the line of scrimmage, change the play, and pass the ball every down, obviously within reason. But
Oh no, definitely.
yeah, it was set up so I could do that, so we could do it. Yeah.
And then obviously your success still equated to team success. So you guys did fairly well that senior year, correct?
Yeah, we lost 2 games. We lost a game to Bailey Ellard, who at the time, the school, I don't think that doesn't even exist anymore, but they were a really good Group 1 football program at the time.
Right.
We lost to those guys. And then we lost in overtime to Bob Diaco's Cedar Grove team, who I saw he was on the podcast as well not that long ago. So we played in a pouring rain. Our athletic director, we were hoping he would cancel the game so we could play in dry weather 2 or 3 days later, but probably did the right thing and played the game.
That was Thanksgiving, correct?
Yeah, it was ended up being on the Saturday, I think, before Thanksgiving. So they didn't even have it on Thanksgiving. We were hoping, or it might have been the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I forget exactly. But it was pouring rain, and we scored. It was 7-7 at the end of regulation. First, we get the ball on the 10-yard line. First play, throw a 10-yard touchdown pass, kick the extra point. We then stop them all the way up to 4th down. I think then they score, and then they go for a 2-point conversion and beat us in overtime. It was the first time I was ever part of a game, an overtime game like that. It was tough. That was really, really tough game. So it was like a playoff game. So that ended our playoffs, because at that time, if you remember it, if you lost one game, you might not go to the playoffs.
Right.
Now it's like, everyone
pretty
makes
much everybody
makes
it. Yes.
Yeah. So you could lose one game depending on, what conference you were in, or, what section you were in, and not make the playoffs, because it came down to 4 teams, I think, in each section. So, yeah.
Now I got a question as a quarterback. You mentioned that rainy game, and your offense is predicated on passing, so to only score those amount of points had to be, the weather slowed you down a little bit. I remember with me when it rained, I know initially they tried to switch me up and give me that damn rubber ball.
Yeah.
But after I was like, nah, let me just I'll keep the regular leather ball. It might be a little heavier, but it's just, I was just so used to that one versus that damn rubber one. I don't know how you used to do it, but I remember the raining, and early on they tried to give me that. I was like, nah, let me use the other one. Yeah,
the rubber ball could just slip right off your hands as soon as it got wet. I feel like a towel dried leather ball was always much better than the rubber ball, for sure. Yeah.
No, I just remember that, and I know, because even when you said Cedar Grove, and then from there, I know you said you end up playing baseball, but were you thinking about playing college as far as sports, as far whether it's football or another sport?
Yeah, one of my regrets was not playing college football. I was getting recruited by all Division III schools, maybe some Division II schools as well. But at that time in my life, I wanted to go to like a big university. So I chose Indiana University. I went and visited on a spring day, and I'm like, I want to be a part of like a big university. But now it's funny, like looking back, and probably not long after that, I really, sometimes I wish I did play in college, even at the the D3 D3 level. I think it would have been a great experience to be a part of a team. You see kids now, going and playing and enjoying it. So I had a great time at Indiana University, but regret's probably too strong of a word. But if I had to do it again, I'd probably at least go and try, and play, D3 football. I visited, College of New Jersey, or as Trenton State at the time. Schools up in upstate New York. A bunch of different schools. Muhlenberg, is another school I visited, and that's where I belonged. I think I belonged, at that D3 level. The other interesting story with Coach Carty is because of his he coached at Rutgers. He had connections with everybody. So if I wanted to play go walk on at any school, he could make that happen. So funny story is he was really good friends with Fran Ganner. Fran Ganner was the offensive coordinator for Joe Paterno at Penn State. So he came to our school one day, and he was kind of, in the area recruiting. And he's like, hey, if you want to go to, Penn State, let me know. I got an application with a stamped A on it, like, hey, you can get in here, no problem. And Coach Ganner's like, listen, if you come here, you could help on offense. You could play some defense if we need you on defense. So basically, he was saying, yeah, you can be on the team, you could and be a part of the team, but you're gonna be a tackling dummy probably or something, or a scout guy for the next like 4 years. So it was a great opportunity, and he couldn't have been a nicer person. But I was just like, oh, that could be a rough 4 years.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Penn State, though, luckily it was always a Jersey pipeline.
That's true.
With Penn State.
Yeah, for sure.
Then even with accolades, Rob, I remember vividly as far as this stuff pouring in, and then that year, your year that you did what you did, first team all county comes in for you here. Now, how special was that? Because think about that was the year Montclair had that run.
Yes.
And, it was Lamont Pond, he was the other quarterback, but you made that first team.
Yeah.
I mean, how special was that?
It was special for me because I wanted to be first team all county.
Absolutely.
From the time I was in 7th grade, I think 6th grade. And even, you get the Star Ledger. Every Tuesday, you read who the top 10 teams in the county were.
Yes.
You read the little articles. On Saturdays, you get the cartoons of the matchups.
Yes.
That was my life. If you said to me, would you want to be in the Pro Bowl or all county first team? I'd say I want to be all county first team.
I agree with you.
Unequivocally. And it was all because of the Star Ledger and because of, the great football teams in Essex County, the kids that you read about that went on to play at college. I loved college football because I followed all the New Jersey kids that,
of course, the Street Smiths magazines, all kinds of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. So when I got the phone call, I'll never forget it. Mike Kinney, who still works for NJ.com, which I think is basically the Star Ledger. He called me. I'll never forget my mom handed me the phone. Wow. He's like, hey, this is Mike Kinney. I knew exactly when he said his name, you've been chosen for the first team all county. That was like, for me, that was the biggest, that was my goal, like I said, since 7th grade. And then I remember I knew I'd get my picture in the paper.
That's right.
Come down to, I forget where we met, and and I'll never forget what he said on the phone. He's like, we, like, to your point, he's like, this team we have this year is amazing. He's like, this is one of those like really special, all county teams based on the guys who made it. I think Jason Curry.
Jason. Bobby, you mentioned Diaco earlier.
Diaco, Fred Valise, right? From
Fred.
So it was, it was just, it was an honor to make, all county. I was so excited.
And interesting enough, that put the heat on me, to be honest with you, because again, I was a year younger than you, underneath you. I made second team that year. They put me a linebacker, I believe. But I was just like, I don't know if he's gonna do 2 Colonial Hills quarterbacks back-to-back years.
Right.
So I was like, damn Rob. So I just like, so I was just. But luckily, it worked out for me as well the following year. But it was just interesting, though. I know, just kind of when I saw it, I was excited. Just wanted to, having an opportunity to compete and play against you. But I just knew, like, you just went off. You just went off there. So that was well deserved in regards to that.
You were a great player as well. You were fun to watch, and I always loved the name too. Like, Ibn Webb was such a cool name. Kids are burning something downstairs.
You need to check on them.
Oh, something's cooking. It's just fire. They'll turn it off.
No, that's the last thing I need. You don't need footage of the house burning down.
No,
right?
You never know what's going to happen at this house with the 4 boys. So,
yeah. Nah, definitely, man. And to your point here, like this making like all county, all conference was cool, but like you said, all county, I know to your point here, I'd rather do that than all state. I know that sounds crazy. But. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Nah, no problem.
They'll take care of it.
No problem at all here. But I know how something as far as Danny Nigro.
Yes.
As far as we befriended each other, I think our junior year, and it was interesting as far as senior year. I talked to Danny every Saturday before we played.
Oh, really?
Before we had games, we played whatever. We talked like every Saturday morning before, kind of like who's going to do this or do that, or how, so it was interesting as far as, so I always had like a connection with Verona here,
Yeah.
like growing up
Yeah, yeah.
as far as that goes here.
Yeah, he was a great athlete, that kid. He for his size, he was a big time competitor. He was a really, really good athlete. Danny, yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know you guys you had kept in touch. That's cool.
Yeah, back then it didn't. You mentioned Cedar Grove.
Yep.
Just that whole week. I mean, just how was it for you guys practice? I mean, I'm sure it must have been kind of nuts here, them being next door.
Yeah, they were our biggest rival. We hated each other. Like we were not friends with them, whatsoever. It's funny. I see the guys now. The guys can't be the nicest guys.
Right.
Like awesome guys. There's a couple of them live in my town.
Okay.
A couple of married, girls from Verona, and just fantastic guys. But we, at that moment in time, in those years in high school, it was like it was like another country. Cedar Grove was. Yes. So we felt like we could beat them. We had beat them the last game of the prior year. It was like the Thanksgiving Day game. We beat them, and they had a very, very good team. They just had lost in the playoffs, and we probably got them at a bad moment for them, a good moment for us, and we beat them 14-0. And then we thought we were ready, and it was a great game. It could have went either way, and it just so happened it came down to the last play of the game, and they won it. So they deserved it. But I remember, like Bob Diaco, before I would go to the gym in the morning, I'd go to the Verona diner with my mom.
I was gonna say, good old Pompton Avenue, huh?
Yeah, exactly. On Pompton Avenue, I had breakfast there. I still do sometimes. And he would be in there with his father. And we wouldn't say, but he would always get up. If he left before, he would come up, shake my hand, and say, good luck, and then go off to his game. So just a interesting story, because I had watched the podcast that you had with him. So when I went to Indiana University, our football team was pretty good football team, and those 2 years we were like 9-4 and went to a bowl game, but the students would just tailgate outside of the stadium like the whole game. I'm like, come on, I want to go in and watch the football game. So I either go in alone, and eventually what I did was I joined what was called the Student Athletic Board, and I became involved in the recruiting. So I would go to the games early on the Saturday morning of the game. I'd meet the recruits, give them a tour, of the facilities, and then it was a way to get on the sidelines for the Big Ten games. Yeah. So one game, Indiana's playing Iowa. And Bob Diaco is a linebacker for Iowa, and Indiana. We ended up winning that game, and it was a close game. He played he was awesome. Played an amazing game. But after the game, I ran out in the field, and I was able to say hello. Yeah. Keep your head up. And he obviously he remembered me as well, and then kind of went on his way. But it's crazy how small the world can become. A couple years before you're playing against each other. That's right. The next year I'm in Indiana, the state of Indiana, and he's playing for Iowa, and we're shaking the hands in the middle of the field. So,
as Jersey boys, we everywhere.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did I know you mentioned your boys say you become a father, man? And like, how does your role change here? I mean, the athlete, now you're the father, and now I'm gonna take a guess that they're in athletics. They grew up playing athletics, at least one or two of them. Yeah. I mean, this how was that for you?
Yeah, so all four of them they're playing all sports. My oldest son is in college, so he was a cross country swimmer, and then golf in the spring. The next three are football and lacrosse. Played a little basketball as well. But you know what? When they were younger, I was terrible. I was that guy yelling on the sidelines, yelling at the referees.
Yeah.
Like, I like to say that I've evolved, over the years. Now, I'm very quiet. I'm reserved. I sit there and watch. I don't yell anything. I just, I try to, enjoy watching them play and not, get caught up in the moment. So yeah, so I definitely, I love it. I enjoy watching them play. I enjoy, being a part of it. And they're competing at, at high levels, which is, which is fun to watch as well. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Did you ever coach them, like any of their teams?
Yeah. So I coached football in town for like 7 years. I was an assistant coach for the C team, I'm sorry, the 3rd and 4th grade. When I say C team,
no, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, our third and 4th grade teams. I was an assistant coach for, I want to say 3 or 4 years, and then I was a head coach for 2 years. They asked me to coach. At first, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Eventually ended up coaching. And I absolutely loved it. And there were years where I coached when I was the head coach. I did not have any kids on the team, those years, and I enjoyed that as.
Yeah, that might have saved you. That might help your marriage out.
Yes, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they would come home. So I was harder on my kids, and and probably to a fault at times. Than other kids. So. But it's just you learn from that. So
it takes a special person to coach their kids and just find that balance. And some could do it, some can't. I know I don't foresee my daughter playing any sports, what have you, but to your point here, I would be adamant about not coaching.
Yeah,
I want zero parts of it. I want zero parts of it. Like, I'll be your father.
Yeah.
Because I know things that get very tense in the web household if that was to take place.
No, we'll see. Even when they find out, what the type of athlete you were and that you played, they're gonna be like, "Come on over here! Like, come on, we need some help. We need some coaching."
I was gonna stay away. Now, I know you mentioned this. Was it one of those things? I know sometimes a small town feel keeps folks wanting to obviously go live their life, go away for school, this and that, but come back. Was there ever a thought coming back to live in Verona versus where you're at now to have your kids be like, you know what, have them do what I did? I know some people think that way, some don't. I'm just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. So when my wife and I looked for our first house, we were looking only in Verona. This is in like 1997 or 8, I forget. 98. And the only reason we didn't buy in Verona is because the taxes at that time were so much higher. So we were able to find a more affordable, house, tax house all in West Caldwell than Verona. So absolutely, we were looking in Verona, and we would have lived there if it worked out. It just so happened that we found a house here in West Caldwell, and that's really the only reason we ended up here. But I'm still in touch with lots of Verona people. We go to the Lakeside Deli on Bloomfield Avenue. We're there at least, once a month, once every other month or so. So, Montclair is like one of the coolest places in New Jersey now. So we're always, we're driving through Verona to, we have sporting events there in Montclair and stuff. So, so we're always around.
Interesting. Now, you playing sports here, what has it given you that sticks with you to this day?
Yeah, so I like I said initially, like I was always very fortunate to have really good role models and coaches through my time in Verona. Whether they were older coaches or younger kids who might have been even a little bit immature at the time, but they all genuinely like cared about me and about the kids on the team. They had a lot of pride. The other thing too, I think, especially with Verona, that I don't think people, it doesn't get the credit. The kids are tough. There's tough kids in Verona. We had talked about Steve Cavello, right? The kid's probably one of the toughest kids you'll ever meet in your life, and he's got a huge heart. A big heart, do anything for you. So not only was I surrounded by really great coaches and role models, but the kids, that you developed relationships with and played with, they were good, like tough kids that, wanted to compete and wanted to win, and then wanted to have fun, on the weekends as well. So,
Absolutely.
so it was just a nice small knit community. Like it's interesting. Like on the weekends, when you would go to after the games in Verona, the whole grade or the whole school would hang out. There wasn't like the football kids hung out here and these kids hung out here. Everyone met at the same places. So that's, another thing too, that made it special. So I would hope, I've taken some of those, what I've learned from coaches, and, it's rubbed off on me, and, hopefully I've been able to pay that forward, when with kids in this town. So.
No, absolutely. And I know you've seen one or two of these. I like to throw folks on the spot on the back end here. If you game for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So when driving, you prefer the Parkway or the Turnpike?
Parkway, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being a Verona guy here, Bloomfield Ave or Pompton Ave?
Bloomfield Ave.
Now let me ask, any crazy memories at good old White Castles then?
Yes. You probably won't believe this when I tell you this. I got a couple. Okay. So I grew up right up the street from White Castle on Mount Prospect. So one memory is our Little League games. We would play at Everett Field, which is right on Bloomfield Avenue. And my center, Chris Rauschenberger, who was a great football player. I don't know if you remember him, big kid. He ended up having a great football career at Ithaca, playing at Ithaca.
D3 power right there.
Yes. Yep. And he was awesome. Great, another great kid, great teammate, tough. Like, he'd do it. If I called him now, he'd come to if my house is on fire, like he would be here. So we would try to, for baseball game, before our Little League games, he was on the opposing team. We would take him to White Castle to try to get him full. We'd pay for his burgers so that maybe he wouldn't play as well in the baseball games. So that's one story. Another story is my father, who's a crazy guy, character. He would wake us up at, like, when we were a little bit older, at like 2 a.m. and be like, "Come on, you gotta go. We're going to White Castle. You gotta see what's going on in there." At like 2 a.m.
Nuts. Yeah.
So this was before I knew what people did after they went to bars or whatever. And he would bring us down there and get a White Castle at 2 a.m. and we would people watch.
Oh yeah, nah. I remember that White Castle, whether it was there or the other ones. Yes, I definitely remember them.
Yeah.
Great Adventure or the Shore?
The Shore, for sure. I'm a beach guy. I'd rather be at the beach. My kids would say probably Great Adventure.
About to open up soon.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekends, unofficial.
Yeah.
Now, what part of the Shore you like going to?
My in-laws live in Barnegat, so right near LBI. So that's typically where we go when we head down there. But cool. My kids get the Great Adventure Pass every year. The season pass. Yes. We go probably once a year. You get to see her 2 or 3 times a year, but yeah.
Now, is that safari still there?
I believe it is. I haven't been there since I can't even remember, but I think it's still there.
Okay. Yeah. Interested of University of Indiana or Verona High School?
Ooh, Verona High School for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know if the party life in college would supersede that.
Oh, it was great. Yeah.
Best game you ever played in your life on any level? Anything stick out? Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, oh man, I gotta think about this one. It was probably football. It might have been the first game of my senior year. We played Mountain Lakes. And the Mountain Lakes
wing T.
Yeah. They were a great team. We never beat them. And we had a new coach, Coach Cardi. And we, how you scrimmage, you have a game scrimmage, before the first game of the season, or maybe 2 weeks before the season. So, teams are scouting you. No one knew his offense at the time. He's a new coach.
Yes.
So we ran like I right, dive right, I left, dive right, because we knew they were scouting us. So
Okay.
we went into Mountain Lakes, which is a great team. They ended up advancing in the playoffs, and we beat them 26-0. And it was just like, we were just throwing the ball all over the field. I think I had 2 touchdown passes, and I ran for a touchdown. So it was my first game, part of this new offense, part of the, with the new coach, and just beating Mountain Lakes, who was such a great program and a great, well-respected team. It felt so good,
Now y'all beat them up there.
He was at Mountain Lakes, which
now going up there, they come out with the damn spears and
yeah.
all that stuff, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, my kids play him in lacrosse now, and it's crazy how it's like
it's still crazy up there.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
And lacrosse, they're
unbelievable.
Yeah, right.
They have 400 kids in the school, and they could beat anybody. It's amazing. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Best team you ever been on, like any level,
Any level, best team. It's either going to be my senior year, high school football.
Okay.
Maybe my 8th grade year. We call it the A team, the Verona Eagles. And then also we weren't known for basketball, but we had a great freshman basketball team.
Yeah, he did.
Because we had a kid move in from Iowa. He was like 6'3", and he was a great basketball player. And he would just take over games. And we went from being like an average rec team, travel team, to like beating pretty much everybody except for I think Del Martin, in basketball. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm digressing. A couple of your boys go to Del Martin. Right?
Yes, yeah, I have 2 boys that go there. Yeah.
Now, how interesting is like the mechanics and the structure and everything over there? Like it's like a mini college over there. From
it really is. It's been a positive experience. It's been a great experience. The people there, the teachers, they're on top of you.
Okay.
They're making sure that you're learning at a high level. But what the interesting thing that hit me with my son, he's a sophomore now. It was during his freshman year. It's where you kind of knew it was a little like it was different in a positive way. He got great grades, right? Straight A's as a freshman. But they'll write the information on the report card. He's good in class. He gets his homework done on time. But almost every class, every teacher was like, he's got to contribute. He's got to talk. He's got to give back. In a lot of schools, they'd be like, oh, he's quiet. He gets good grades, and he's good. He's fine. Doesn't cause any problems.
They're trying to get it out of him.
Yeah. They're the expectation level to be a complete student is that you need to contribute as well, or you're not a complete, you're not a complete student. Yeah. So if you're doing well in class, contribute so that you can help other kids, show your knowledge, give back. So that was, that's kind of a neat thing that we've gotten from there. And then again, fortunate with the coaching, the football coaches are fantastic. The lacrosse coaches are great. It seems, they run things more like probably like college level, practices and, preparation. My son has a big game tomorrow against Pingree. He's looking, as we're talking, they're burning the house down. He's watching film, tonight of getting ready for tomorrow. So, and that's the expectation. So, yeah.
Any, out of the 4 of them, any quarterback?
No quarterbacks. We got running back. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. We have a running back, and he's like a linebacker. My freshman played quarterback this year. He's played quarterback all throughout. Great quarterback. And he had a great freshman year. They had a good freshman team. And, threw a bunch of touchdown passes, ran for a couple touchdowns as well. But the varsity coach has said to him, hey, we think we want you to play defense next year. So there's a good chance he might transition over to defense. At Del Martin, they want you only to play one way, which is which is, there's positives and negatives to it, but just the competition that they're playing week in and week out, they want to try to keep the players fresh. And they have enough players that they can that they can do it. They probably, there's some swing players that I think, could easily play both ways. But then they have 3 hours of practice time, just like a college.
Right.
Offense is practicing a full 3 hours and defense is practicing, a full 3 hours. So, yeah.
Crazy what you could do with numbers, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Do they know how good their father was?
Yeah. I don't know. We don't talk, I don't talk about it much. I think other people might, mention it to him, which is, I think, much better than, hearing it come from me. So, yeah.
Even with that, top 5 football players from Verona. You got a 5?
Yeah, I'll come up with 5 in no particular order.
Nah, no particular order.
Yeah, so Steve Cavello is definitely one of those all time. There's a guy, Steve Aldiro.
Okay.
I remember watching play growing up. He ended up playing at Colgate, and then of course there's Anthony Visano, who
I've spoken to him, so I mean, we're trying to work it out, but I've talked to him.
Yeah, great guy too. I was a camp counselor for him in town when he was like little, third or fourth grader, and I was in a high school. And then of course, listen, the 2 kids go to Notre Dame, Carlos Calabrese and Anthony Visano. They're definitely in the top 5. I remember watching them going to games when they were freshmen. Each one of them played, and I'm like, they just had a presence about them. Just being on the field, you just knew they were great football players. So and then a 5th one, I'm probably drawing a blank. I'm probably being unfair to somebody, but I gotta think. There's so many. It's hard to say. You know what? I'm gonna say I'll say Mark D'Angelo.
Okay.
Yeah, and for 2 reasons. Great football player, tough as nails.
Yeah.
Great person as well. Just a awesome person.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, actually push the humble pie to the side here. When they talk about great Verona quarterbacks or players, you feel your name should be mentioned?
I think I could be mentioned, but I know there's been so many great players over the year. I'm probably missing some guys, like Rotella.
Yeah, that's the fun. That's the fun of it.
His son played at Tennessee, but yeah. Hey, I'd love to. If I'm in the conversation, I'm happy. I'm good. Yeah.
Somebody who should have made it, however you define made it.
Yeah, made it. Oh man. I think there's kids probably every year, that don't get the look or the chance that can compete, at the high level because they go to a Group 1 school, right? Or because they don't have the resources to go to these camps now, or the know-how, right? Maybe their parents aren't as dialed in as maybe some other parents. So I'm going to say I'd have to think about that one, but I'm going to say there's probably a bunch of kids out there that could easily play, at the next level. But they just, for whatever reason, they're just not, in the know, if you will, or people aren't as aware of them as they should be.
Yeah. Best part about being Rob Trafford?
My family. I'm family and community. I'm very fortunate. Like I said, I married my high school sweetheart. She makes everything go, keeps everything, together. And I've been blessed with 4 wonderful boys. I have my oldest son went to the University of New Orleans this past year. He applied to the Naval Academy. He did not get in to the Naval Academy out of high school. He reapplied this year and is now he got accepted to an appointment to the Naval Academy, and he'll be going next year. So I feel blessed. I feel so fortunate that he persevered and followed his dream, and now he's going, and he's the kid that wasn't the great football player, the great baseball or basketball player, but he's very unique in his own way, and super smart, and he's gonna pursue his dreams. So
that's good stuff. And part B to that, as far as that question, best part about being a father?
Oh man, best part about being a father is watching your kids grow develop and evolve,
Yes.
where they change for the better. A lot of times you'll hear from other people how well, how your kids are nice or how well they behave, but you don't see it at home. Sometimes I think they let it all out here, but really, just watching your kids grow, or, maybe, for example, I struggle, like when my kids 7th and 8th grade, that's 2 tough years for me, whether they're becoming, men or boys, or going through changes or whatever. But as they've gotten older now, it's like they become, people again, good people. Like my oldest son, I remember, his 7th and 8th grade years, wishing like, oh, this kid, who is this kid? And then junior or senior year in high school, I'm like, oh, I wish he could be home for another year. I wish he didn't have to, he didn't have to leave. So I guess it's times like that.
Yeah, you get me worried here. Like I told you, I have an 8-year-old. That's all I have. So I'm squeezing every moment I can with her, because I know everybody says it flies.
It does, yeah. It's true. Like all those things people tell you when you're with your baby or your kids, time goes fast, they grow, so it's all true.
It is, yes.
Yeah, so you squeeze them, like hug them, and just it does go fast though, for sure.
So they wrote a book on your life. What would they call it?
Oh man, great question. Oh man, yeah. They would call it all over the place. Maybe scattered.
Yeah.
Scattered. I'm more scattered than maybe organized isn't the right word, but just running all over the place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at this point in your life, this stage of your life here, what advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old Rob? What advice would you give him?
I would say, don't live in the temporary, like live in the long term, right? Like I'm listening to this podcast, and this kid was, he was going to quit the military academy, the United States Naval Academy, and he wanted to go home, he wanted to go out, and what kept him in there is he's like, I didn't want to make a temporary decision of being unhappy and miserable that would affect, my whole life. So, maybe there's been times in college where I dropped a class because I was afraid to get a C or, a D, like, who cares? Stick it out. Like, get through it. Or maybe, I didn't choose to play college football because everyone believed in me, but I didn't believe in myself. So, maybe, believe in yourself, more than you give yourself credit, more than maybe than you do. So
yes. Now, hopefully, you got a whole lot more living to do here. Even with that being said, what would your parents say about you?
I think my parents would say that I'm caring, try can cause some trouble too. I could stir some trouble up, but that I'm I'm there for them. I think they would say I'm a good father, and someone that they can count on for sure.
Yeah. And lastly, what's on deck? What's the future hold? What we got going on here? I know probably still juggling the boys. I don't care how old they get, they're gonna still be your boys here. You got the wife. What you got? What's on deck?
Yeah, so we're just gonna, we hope to get through this lacrosse season.
Okay.
And then we have summer lacrosse, and then we'll go right to football. But just kind of trying to figure out, what the sophomore, there could be, I guess, coming up in your junior year, you could determine, like, is he going to play maybe lacrosse in college? There might be some schools that could be interested in him, or is he have more passion for football? So I think we're gonna figuring out, like, what his path is gonna be, and then the next one, and then the next one. The youngest one, who's in 7th grade, he'll be another good good athlete. So we got to figure out what we're gonna do with that guy. So yeah.
Nah, it sounds fun, and I think probably outside of the fun, definitely rewarding just watching each person become themselves,
Yeah.
and you and your wife being able to just share these moments. Speaking of moments, Rob, I know you raised the bar for me, believe it or not. Here, like I
Yeah.
said, I just remember, like I said, that run you went on, and just actually falling victim to one of those aerial assaults that you gave, your senior year. But I was just like, I always admired as far as just how you played in those Verona teams, and to your point, you alluded to it earlier, just the town Verona is as well too. So I
Yeah.
always, always had appreciation for it, and you just prime example of those athletes, and not only the athlete, but great people that just come from out of that town.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you for the memories and a loss or two you may have given me as well too. But I appreciate everything, Rob, man, and even just when we spoke, you said it'd been not a problem, man, to jump on here, or what have you. So I appreciate you sharing a little bit of
Oh
your
yeah.
world. So I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity, Rob.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been great to reconnect.
Yes.
As soon as
Yes.
I knew exactly who it was. I can picture you, in that cool blue uniform. You just you looked the part. You were lefty. You were lefty
Yes,
too.
lefty. Yes.
I remember you were a lefty.
Yes.
You just I don't know. You just look like a cool football player, and
No,
you were
that's
a great
funny.
football player.
That's funny.
And I mean that sincerely.
Mhm.
So we always were well prepared for immaculate, and we're always like, these guys can kill us, if they
Mhm.
but yeah, we definitely had great respect for you and your teams and everything there. So yeah.
Nah. Thank you. And again, best wishes again with the boys, the family, and not only the wishes, but good health and continued health for everybody. Stay healthy with all this
Yeah.
nonsense going on, and just have fun. And it's a small world. I have your number now, Rob, too.
Yes.
So, and definitely I'll come lacrosse time. I know what's going on now, but just even the future, I'm like, hey, I'll keep an eye on Del Barton
Yeah.
and a couple of things. Yeah, I'm still, though I'm not in Jersey these days. I'm actually in Connecticut.
Yes. Yep.
But my whole family's still right there,
Yeah.
right there in Jersey.
Whenever
So.
you're in town, I'd love, let's get together. Let's go get a bite to eat, or
No, say no more.
something.
Say no
Yeah.
more. I just got to stay in town more than a day. Usually I'm
Yeah.
like, usually I'm in and out. I say my hellos and go, but
Yeah.
I keep telling myself I got to do better. Like
Sure.
just staying a little longer, just with my parents getting up
Right.
there and everything. So definitely not. You got that. So I'll make a point. Like I said, I keep my butt.
Absolutely.
The wife and I, we could connect and we grab something to eat or so.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Nah, Rob, be well and thanks again. And like I said, we'll definitely be in touch.
Sounds great. Thanks, Evan. It was great talking to you.
Likewise.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good night.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Great stuff. Great stuff. This is why I love doing this here, just to reconnect, folks I've competed with and just seen about or what have you here. Like, Rob, I really, really enjoyed this here. Thanks for the opportunity here. With that said, I'm just going to step away. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.